Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Vice President of the Republic of Sierra Leone. Good morning, Honorable Ministers, Central Bank Governors, Senior Government Officials, Director Generals of WAMA, WAMI, and YFM, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Let me welcome you to the 53rd meeting of the Convergence Council of Ministers and Central Bank Governors of the West African Monetary Zone. Just to put things in perspective, we recall that for the past almost 10 days, we've been having the end-of-year meetings, statutory meetings of WAMA, WAMI, and YFM. From the 5th to the 9th, I could recall, we had the meetings of the West African Monetary Agency, which covers the 15 member countries of ECOWAS. From the 8th to the 9th, we had the meetings of the West African Institute for Financial and Economic Management of the West African Monetary Zone, let me say, which covers the 5 English-speaking countries of West Africa. And from the 10th to the 13th, we've been holding the technical meetings of the meetings of the Technical Committee of the West African Monetary Zone. And we know the West African Monetary Zone covers 6 countries. That's Gambia, Ghana, Guinea, Nigeria, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. During those discussions, we came up with key findings and recommendations. For WAMA, those findings and recommendations were presented to the Committee of Governors of the Central Banks of West Africa. Note, Central Banks of West Africa. So the WAMA meetings terminated at that level yesterday, February 13. The YFM meeting, the findings of the Technical Committee and recommendations were also presented to the Committee of Governors of the 5 English-speaking countries that are taking care of YFM. At the same time, the findings of and recommendations of the Technical Committee of the West African Monetary Zone, that's the 5 English-speaking countries plus Guinea, were presented to the Committee of Governors. That's yesterday on February 13. Today, this morning, February 14, which happens to be Valentine's Day, we are having the most important meeting. That is the Convergence Council of Ministers and Central Bank Governors of the WAMs. So finish with WAMA, we finish with YFM. The Convergence Council of ECOWAS will convene, I think sometimes next month, maybe I'll come to that. And that's the issues of WAMA will be taken up during that meeting in Abuja. The Convergence Council of the WAMs, comprising ministers and central bank governors, is holding here in Freetown this morning. And so the discussions of the Committee of Governors that we had yesterday will be presented today to the Convergence Council of Ministers and Central Bank Governors. So this morning we are having the opening ceremony. And for the opening ceremony, let me use the opportunity to introduce the high table before going to the business of the day itself. In this room, we are blessed to have the second gentleman of the state, the Honorable Vice President of the Republic of Sierra Leone. He's a very simple man, very humble, but very dynamic and very effective, I can assure you. He is Dr. Mohamed Julde Jallo. Can we? We also have with us the Commissioner for Economic Affairs and Agriculture of ECOWAS. As we all know, ECOWAS is the umbrella body that is actually carrying the burden of all these institutions to ensure that we have a monetary union in the West African sub-region. And that's Madam Toure Listy. On the high table, we also have the outgoing chairman of the Committee of Governors. And the outgoing chairman was the Republic of Guinea, represented here by the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of the Republic of Guinea, Dr. Mohamed Lamine Conte. We also have the new chairman of the Committee of Governors, whom we met yesterday. Guinea handed over the chairmanship of the Committee of Governors to Sierra Leone yesterday. And we have our able governor of the Central Bank of Sierra Leone serving in as the new chairman of the Committee of Governors until the next statutory meeting. And that is Dr. Ibrahim L. Stevens, governor of the Bank of Sierra Leone. We also have with us the acting director general of the West African Monetary Institute, the institute that prepared all the technical papers that form the basis of our deliberations in the past few days. We all know the DG's tenure expired, and our brother, Mr. John Kutuku, who is actually Director of Multilateral Surveillance and Trade Integration in WAMI, took over those responsibilities. Let me welcome also thank you. So I'll continue the introductions on the high table. We are also blessed to have someone who is, you can say he's a member of the, well, not a member of the WAMS countries, but he's representing us at a very high level at the IMF Executive Board. I think this is the first time we're having such a representation here. He's visiting Sierra Leone, and we thought, since he's representing African countries, West African countries this time, because we are very lucky to have a third chair on the board of the IMF. And so we have the executive director for Africa Group 2 at the IMF, the new Group 2, the Executive Director, Professor Ouattara, here with us this morning. Welcome, Professor Ouattara. Professor Ouattara is an Ivorian who took up responsibility in October this year at the IMF Executive Board in Washington, D.C. And he likes Sierra Leone so much that he decided to visit Sierra Leone as the first country to visit during his tenure. Thank you very much, Professor. Well, not the last man to be introduced, but he's actually the man of the day. The man who provided all the logistics that you've seen, all the glamour, I don't know what to say, but all the good things you've seen, the logistics, in hosting this meeting, that is the man that is responsible. He is no less a person than our diligent, and I also want to add, intelligent Minister of Finance of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Mr. Sheku Fantamadi Bangura. So with those introductions, we start the business, the opening ceremony this morning. The first speaker I have on the list is a welcome statement by the outgoing chairman of the Convergence Council, and that's the Minister of Finance for Guinea, represented by the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Guinea, Dr. Mohamed Lamine Conte. Over to you, sir.
Merci, Monsieur le modérateur. Son Excellence, Dr Mohamed Julde Diallo, vice-président de la République de Sierra Leone, Madame la commissaire de l'agriculture représentant le président de la commission de la CEDEAO, Messieurs les ministres du Conseil de convergence, Messieurs les gouverneurs des banques centrales, Monsieur le directeur exécutif du groupe Afrique 2 au Fonds monétaire international, professeur Ouattara, Monsieur le directeur général de l'IMAO, distingués invités, Mesdames et Messieurs, en vos rangs, qualités, tout protocole observé. C'est avec une immense fierté et un profond sentiment d'accomplissement que je m'adresse à vous ce matin au nom de M. Mourana Souma, ministre de l'Économie et des Finances de la République de Guinée. Tout d'abord, je voudrais présenter les profonds regrets du ministre Mourana Souma qui, pour des raisons indépendantes de sa volonté, n'a pu participer à cette importante réunion. Il m'a chargé, moi, Elhadji Mohamed Lamine Conte, vice-gouverneur de la Banque centrale de la République de Guinée, de vous transmettre ses excuses pour n'avoir pas être là ce matin. Ensuite, je tiens à exprimer la gratitude des hautes autorités de mon pays, à sa tête le général Mamadi Doumbouya, président de la République, au peuple frère de la Sierra Leone pour leur hospitalité exemplaire et l'organisation réussie de cette rencontre. Ce cadre propice aux échanges et à la prise de décision stratégique témoigne de notre engagement collectif à bâtir une zone monétaire de l'Afrique de l'Ouest plus forte et plus résiliente. Honorables vice-présidents, mesdames et messieurs, distingués invités, nous vivons une époque charnière marquée par de profonds bouleversements économiques mondiaux. L'inflation persistante, les tensions géopolitiques, les ajustements monétaires et l'essor fulgurant des technologies transforment les modèles économiques traditionnels. Face à ces défis, l'Afrique de l'Ouest ne subit pas, elle doit s'adapter, innover et avancer. Notre région démontre une résilience remarquable, portée par des réformes courageuses et des politiques économiques plus ciblées. La ZMAO en est un exemple éclatant. En effet, en 2024, notre croissance économique moyenne a atteint 3,8% contre 2,8% en 2023. Preuve que nos efforts commencent à porter leurs fruits. Ce progrès est le résultat de la revitalisation de nos secteurs agricoles et industriels, du renforcement de la coopération économique et de la mise en place de politiques monétaires et budgétaires plus prudentes. Toutefois, nous ne devons pas ignorer les défis qui persistent. L'inflation atteint 27,7% en juin 2024, alimentée par la volatilité des prix des denrées alimentaires et de l'énergie. La dépréciation de nos monnaies et les contraintes persistantes sur les chaînes d'approvisionnement. Ces facteurs, bien que préoccupantes, sont autant d'incitations à accélérer nos réformes et à renforcer notre convergence économique. Honorable vice-président, mesdames et messieurs, distingués invités, l'objectif de la monnaie unique de la CEDEAO reste un horizon que nous devons atteindre avec rigueur et détermination. Cependant, les derniers rapports de l'IMAO montrent que des défis demeurent. Aucun État membre n'a encore satisfait aux 4 critères de premier rang de convergence macroéconomique. 2027, date de l'intégration monétaire fixée par nos chefs d'État, nous arrive à grands pas, alors que les défis restent immenses quant au respect et à la régularité du respect des critères de convergence macroéconomique par nos États membres. À ce stade, nous ne pouvons pas ne pas nous interroger sur le risque qui pèse sur la tenue de cette échéance. Néanmoins, nous ne devons pas voir ces défis comme un obstacle, mais comme un appel à redoubler d'efforts. Nous avons déjà démontré notre capacité à progresser ensemble. Et les avancées récentes témoignent d'un engagement collectif sans faille. Nous devons renforcer nos politiques budgétaires et monétaires, accélérer la modernisation de nos infrastructures financières et promouvoir une meilleure coordination régionale. Nos priorités doivent être claires. Stabiliser l'inflation en renforçant nos politiques de contrôle des prix et en réduisant notre dépendance aux importations volatiles. Élargir notre base industrielle pour diversifier nos économies et limiter notre vulnérabilité aux fluctuations des matières premières. Optimiser la gestion des finances publiques pour garantir la soutenabilité de nos économies et améliorer la résilience budgétaire. Enfin, renforcer l'intégration financière grâce à la modernisation des systèmes de paiement et à la digitalisation des transactions. Ces efforts ne sont pas une option. Ils sont une nécessité absolue si nous voulons garantir l'avenir de notre région et offrir à nos populations les conditions économiques qu'elles méritent. Honorables vice-présidents, mesdames et messieurs, distingués invités, permettez-moi un instant de mettre en lumière les avancées significatives de mon pays, la Guinée. En effet, depuis le 11 septembre 2021, mon pays a engagé une transformation économique en profondeur, malgré les défis d'une transition politique. Notre stratégie repose sur la stabilité macroéconomique, le développement industriel et l'amélioration du climat des affaires. Nos résultats sont probants. Une croissance du PIB projetée à 7% en 2025 et 11,1% en 2026, portée par des investissements massifs dans les infrastructures et l'industrie minière. Une inflation maîtrisée à un chiffre, résultat d'une gestion rigoureuse des finances publiques et d'une stabilisation du marché des changes. Un climat des affaires attractif avec un regain de confiance des investisseurs, notamment dans les secteurs miniers et industriels. La semaine prochaine, nous aurons une visite du Fonds monétaire international pour conclure une discussion sur le programme avec le fonds. L'initiative Simandou 2040, visionnaire et audacieuse, symbolise cette dynamique. Ce programme va bien au-delà de l'exploitation minière. Il ambitionne d'industrialiser la Guinée, mon pays, de moderniser ses infrastructures et de transformer son potentiel minier en moteur de croissance, catalyseur et durable. Ce modèle de développement axé sur l'éducation, les infrastructures, la finance et l'industrie constitue une feuille de route ambitieuse qui pourrait inspirer d'autres économies de la région. Honorables vice-gouverneurs, distingués invités, mesdames et messieurs, alors que je m'apprête à passer le flambeau au nom du ministre de l'Économie et des Finances à son successeur, le ministre des Finances de la Sierra Leone, je tiens à exprimer la profonde gratitude des autorités guinéennes aux membres du Conseil de convergence pour leur engagement sans faille. Nous avons accompli un travail formidable ensemble et les fondations sont désormais solides pour accélérer notre marche vers une intégration économique réussie. Le ministre des Finances de la République de Guinée salue également les efforts inlassables du directeur général et des cadres de l'IMAO qui ont contribué de manière décisive aux progrès réalisés dans la modernisation des systèmes de paiement, la mobilisation des ressources financières et l'harmonisation des politiques commerciales. Nous devons maintenant capitaliser sur ces acquis et intensifier nos actions pour renforcer notre organisation et concrétiser notre vision d'une monnaie unique, forte et stable. Monsieur le vice-président, mesdames et messieurs, distingués invités, aujourd'hui, plus que jamais, nous avons l'opportunité de la responsabilité de façonner un avenir prospère pour la ZMAO et l'ensemble de l'Afrique de l'Ouest. Le chemin est exigeant, mais notre engagement est inébranlable. Nous avons le savoir-faire, la volonté, les ressources pour bâtir une zone monétaire dynamique, compétitive et résiliente. Je félicite, au nom de Monsieur le ministre de l'Économie et des Finances de la Guinée, et par anticipation, le nouveau président qui sera élu du Conseil de convergence. Il aura la mission exaltante de poursuivre cette œuvre collective. À lui et à nous tous, je souhaite plein succès dans l'accomplissement de notre vision commune. Avançons ensemble avec détermination et ambition vers une ZMAO plus forte, plus intégrée et plus prospère. Les populations de l'Afrique de l'Ouest, de la ZMAO, nous regardent, sont confiantes des efforts que nous, cadres, faisons pour cette intégration monétaire. Un président de la République, je vais nommer l'ancien président gambien, nous disait un jour, à l'occasion de cette cérémonie inaugurale du Conseil de convergence, que quand vous recevez quelqu'un qui a faim, vous lui dites de s'asseoir, que vous allez préparer à manger. Une heure, vous venez lui dire, je suis en train de préparer. Une autre heure, vous venez lui dire, je suis en train de préparer. Finalement, comme le repas ne vient pas, il ne va plus vous croire que vous êtes en train de préparer. Et pas plus que la réunion à Conakry, le Premier ministre guinéen nous disait, les populations de l'Afrique nous regardent, nous cadres. Il faut qu'on ait, si on n'a pas pitié, mais il faut qu'on ait conscience que ces populations nous regardent. Donc nous devons ensemble avancer dans la transparence, dans la rigueur, pour que la mission que nos chefs d'État nous ont investie, cette mission puisse aboutir. Sur ce, Monsieur le vice-président, Mesdames et Messieurs, distingués invités, je voudrais m'arrêter là, au nom du ministre de l'Économie et des Finances, et vous remercier pour votre aimable attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Conte, for advising us to remain steadfast in our pursuit of monetary union and for sharing the priorities of the Guinean government, macro stability, industrialization, and climate change, and also for sharing with us the reforms the government of Guinea is pursuing to ensure that improve the lives of the people of the Republic of Guinea. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is the President of the ECOWAS Commission, ably represented here by the Commissioner for Economic Affairs and Agriculture, Madame Touré Leste.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le modérateur. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Honorable Minister of Finance of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Honorable Executive Director, Africa West at the IMF, Honorable Chairman of the WAMS Convergence Council, Honorable members of the WAMS Convergence Council, Honorable ministers here present, Director General WAMA, WAMI, and YFM, Secretary General for West African Bankers Association, esteemed invited guests, member of the press, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored in my capacity as ECOWAS Commissioner for Economic Affairs and Agriculture to have the opportunity to address you today on behalf of the President of the ECOWAS Commission, His Excellency Dr. Oumar Aliou Touré. He would have loved to be among us today. However, due to unavoidable circumstances, he couldn't make it. He has therefore requested me to convey his message to this august council. Kindly permit me to deliver his address. I wish to express my profound gratitude to His Excellency Dr. Julius Maada Bio, President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, and the government and the good people of Sierra Leone for having graciously offered to host this meeting and for the excellent facilities placed at the disposal of all delegates. Permit me also to extend my sincere thanks to His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Julde Diallo, Vice President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, for accepting to grace this meeting as a special guest for the 53 Convergent Council meeting of the WAMS. Your Excellency, your presence among us this morning demonstrates the commitment of the Republic of Sierra Leone to the regional integration initiatives. In addition, I would like to thank the Minister of Finance, Honorable Sheku Fantamadi Bangura, and the Governor of the Bank of Sierra Leone, Honorable Dr. Ibrahim Stevens, for the assistance in effectively organizing and hosting this important meeting and for their continued support to the ECOWAS Monetary Cooperation Program. Furthermore, I would like to thank you, distinguished members of the Convergence Council, for sparing time out of your busy schedules to be present in Freetown for this meeting, which is a demonstration of your strong and continued commitment to the regional monetary integration and economic development process. I commend the unwavering commitment of the members of the WAMS Convergence Council and regional institutions toward our common goal, the economic and monetary integration of our region. Our appreciation goes to WAMA, WAMI and YFM for the initiatives and all the actions they have taken collectively to strengthen the integration progress. Permettez-moi, à ce stade, de féliciter et encourager les deux nouveaux directeurs généraux, Dr. Bioma Kamara pour WAMA et Dr. Abdel Salam pour WAMI. Your Excellency, Mr. VP, honorable ministers, distinguished participants, yesterday, the Committee of Governors of WAMS examined key issues, including macroeconomic convergence, financial and trade integration, as well as various analytical studies. These topics are of paramount importance in building a viable and solid monetary union within our region. The macroeconomic convergence report highlights the status of member states on the convergence criteria. Unfortunately, none of the WAMS member states met all of the 4 primary criteria in the first quarter of 2024. Performance on the budget deficit to GDP, average inflation, and foreign reserves as the months of import cover remains challenging. Disparities persist among the member states, highlighting the need to strengthen multilateral surveillance mechanism and improve economic policy coordination. In this regard, we must intensify our efforts to harmonize our regulatory framework, improve the quality of statistical data, and strengthen peer review mechanism. The ECOWAS Commission remains fully committed to working with regional institutions and member states to support these efforts. Your Excellency, Mr. VP, distinguished members of the Convergence Council, ladies and gentlemen, the establishment of a single currency requires pragmatism and strong political will. It is in this spirit that the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of States and Government set up the high-level committee on the practical arrangement for the launch of the ECHO on July 9, 2023 in Bissau. This high-level committee on November 12, 2024 made important recommendations that were fully endorsed by the 66th Ordinary Session of the ECOWAS Authority of Head of State and Government. This recommendation, among others, include the criteria for selecting candidate member states for the launch of the ECHO and the cost, sources, and modalities of financing the implementation of the reforms and institutions necessary for the launch of the ECHO. These decisions illustrate the determination of our highest authorities to build an inclusive, transparent, and equitable monetary union within our region. Furthermore, it is crucial to accelerate the implementation of regional initiatives which are aimed at improving intra-ECOWAS trade, integrating financial markets, and facilitating cross-border payment. In this regard, it would be appropriate to ensure coherence between the ECOWAS Payment and Settlement System initiative and the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System. Moreover, the success of our currency will depend on the firm commitment of every member state to meeting the convergence criteria. However, the political will and the ratifications of regulatory frameworks that are related to the ECOWAS monetary cooperation program by member states are crucial to launching the single currency ECHO. I therefore call on all member states to intensify their efforts in this direction to achieve this ambitious objective. Your Excellency, Mr. VP, ladies and gentlemen, recently, some of the regional institutions came to visit ECOWAS, and the discussions focused on deepening our collaboration and coordination in the implementation of regional programs and activities and finding ways of moving the region forward. I want to assure you of the ECOWAS Commission's unflinching support and readiness to work with all of you, especially in the implementation of the ECOWAS Monetary Cooperation Program. Indeed, Objective 2 of the ECOWAS Management 4x4 Strategic Objectives for the period 2022-2026 relates specifically to deepening regional integration, which encompasses the promotion and enhancement in intra-community trade, consolidation of free movement of people, goods and services, and strengthening coordination of the implementation of the EMCP to accelerate the establishment of a strong monetary union in our region in line with the vision of our founding fathers 50 years ago. Your Excellency, I wish to reiterate the strong commitment of the ECOWAS Commission to continue to play a key role in the promotion of peace, good governance, and economic development in collaboration with all stakeholders as enshrined in ECOWAS Vision 2050. Your Excellency, Mr. VP, honorable ministers, honorable members of the Convergence Council, ladies and gentlemen, we have come a long way, but many challenges remain. Our collective commitment and political will are crucial to realizing our vision of a stable and robust monetary union for the good of our people. I urge you to continue to strengthen your resolve toward economic integration, macroeconomic convergence, financial stability within the region to foster the creation of a resilient and prosperous economic and monetary union in West Africa. We owe it to our communities. Excellences, Monsieur le Vice-Président, distinguées personnalités, I thank you for your attention and I wish you fruitful deliberation. Merci beaucoup de votre aimable attention.
Thank you very much, Madam Toure, and thank you for advising us to continue to implement the ECOWAS protocols on trade and free movement. And thank also ECOWAS for establishing the high-level committee for the practical modalities for the launch of the single currency. But my key takeaway is that the whole process requires strong political will and commitment. I think this is a good point. I invite the next speaker, who is no less a person than the Vice President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, to give his keynote address and perhaps share with us how strong is the political will and commitment. Thank you, Honorable Vice President.
Thank you. Please, kindly sit down. Mr. Chairman, Honorable Ministers of Finance of the WAMS, other ministers present here from the same region, Central Bank governors of the West African Monetary Zone, our sister from the ECOWAS Commission standing in to represent the President of the ECOWAS Commission, Director General of the West African Monetary Association, WAMI, YFM, Chairman, Technical Committee of the WAMS, representatives of regional and specialized institutions, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, development partners, and esteemed delegates from the West African Monetary Zone member countries. Our brother Professor Ouattara from the IMF, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I must say it is with immense pleasure that I join you today at the 53rd meeting of the Convergence Council of Ministers and Central Bank Governors of the West African Monetary Zone. On behalf of His Excellency the President, Dr. Julius Maada Bio, the government and the people of Sierra Leone, let me take this opportunity to welcome you all to Sierra Leone. Chers frères, Madame, Messieurs, au nom de Son Excellence le Président Julius Maada Bio, je voudrais vous souhaiter bienvenue en Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone, c'est votre pays. Et je suis spécialement ravi d'écouter le député gouverneur, le gouverneur adjoint de la Banque centrale de la Guinée et notre sœur de la commission de CEDEAO pour leur présentation. Ça nous donne espoir. Au nom de Son Excellence et moi-même, je voudrais réitérer l'engagement et la volonté de notre pays d'appuyer l'intégration régionale. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, honorable ministers, it could be recalled that the discussions for the process of economic and monetary integration in West Africa started in the 1980s. And after almost 3 decades, we have witnessed about 5 postponements of the launch date of the single currency in the West African Monetary Zone countries, comprising Gambia, Ghana, Guinea, Nigeria, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. As we are all aware, the decision to introduce a single common currency for the region is driven by our collective aspirations to promote economic stability and integration of our economies in order to boost trade, enhance the movement of people and capital with the overarching objective of improving the living conditions of our people. Therefore, I want to use this moment to acknowledge the role and commitment of the ECOWAS heads of state and regional bodies, including the West African Monitoring Agency, the West African Monetary Institute, and the West Africa Institute for Financial and Economic Management, and the development finance institutions, including the African Development Bank and the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development. Each of these agencies and institutions have provided invaluable support towards achieving the single currency program for the region. We should continue to leverage the convening power and knowledge of these institutions to advance the plans that we have for the monetary union in the sub-region. However, we have to admit that the road to macroeconomic convergence and the single common currency has been very challenging, stemming principally from global-wide economic difficulties, domestic economic conditions, political stability, regional security challenges continue to undermine our efforts to achieve sustainable growth and structural transformation. For instance, the Ebola epidemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the Russian-Ukraine crisis impacted to a large extent our economies in terms of slow economic growth and higher prices of goods and services, weakened domestic revenue mobilization, and increased expenditures to fund response programs. In addition to this, the depreciation of our local currencies, high public debt, disruption to foreign direct investment inflows, supply chain disruptions, and decrease in inter- and intra-regional trade collectively dampen our effort to improve the growth of our economies. These developments, ladies and gentlemen, did not only undermine the ability of member states to satisfy the convergence criteria, but also resulted in loss of lives and livelihood, rise in unemployment, heightened inequality, and general increase in the incidence of poverty within the region. It is against this background that we state that there is a need to integrate our economies by embarking on regional infrastructure projects like roads, railways, electricity, air and sea transportation, and pursue sound economic policies to boost the resilience of our region to withstand external shocks and improve the living standards of our people. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this will no doubt lay a solid foundation for a credible and sustainable monetary union. We should also work hard to address the stability challenges confronting the sub-region. The problems of statelessness is now a compelling reality. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake that it is very difficult to talk about economic integration in the face of growing fragility. Honorable ministers and central bank governors, I am informed that despite the delay in launching the monetary union, efforts are far advanced in the upgrading of our payment systems infrastructure and the establishment of a regional payment system that will facilitate the seamless transfer of funds among banks and other financial institutions within and outside our boundaries to promote regional trade. With support from the World Bank, we have installed and operationalized the national payment switch, which has so far connected 6 commercial banks. This upgrade in payment systems infrastructure no doubt brings innovation in the financial sector and allow for increased uptake of financial services and promote financial inclusion. Equally, efforts are also being made to support the establishment of stock exchanges in member states where they do not exist or at a rudimentary stage, and eventually link them to other stock exchanges in the sub-region. This will enable businesses to raise long-term capital and facilitate movement of capital across boundaries, combining these efforts with the free movement of people and goods, which the ECOWAS Commission has successfully promoted over the years, we are making, no doubt, laudable steps towards regional integration. Honorable ministers and governors, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the government of Sierra Leone is mindful of the urgent need to pursue sound sectoral reforms as a solid base necessary to launch the single currency in West Africa. Our National Development Plan 2024-2030 prioritizes agriculture and food security under the Feed Salon program. The main objective of the program is to boost domestic food production to ensure accessibility and affordability of basic food items, including the staple food rice. The objective is for us to reduce our dependency on import and increase food supply at a very low prices. This in itself alone will going to help us to reduce the $200 million we spend annually to import rice into this country. In addition, while we continue to support farmers with agricultural input to boost domestic production, the government has also introduced a pricing formula for essential commodities, starting with imported rice to promote transparency in the pricing of essential goods. This has resulted in an 11.5% reduction in the price of a 50-kilogram bag of imported rice. Equally so, government continue to pursue prudent economic policies to stabilize the economy. I am sure the Minister of Finance will elaborate on some of the planned reforms for the medium term under the economic program supported by the IMF and other development partners. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, human capital development remains a top priority for this government, and Sierra Leone continues to spend about 20% of its national budget on education alone. And when we came in 2018, our budgetary allocation to the health infrastructure was 6%. Over the years, we have moved that to 11%. Although we are still 4% short of the Abuja Declaration, which states that every sub-Saharan Africa will have to spend about 15% of their budget on health, the 11% increase that we have seen in the ministry, in the national budget to the health sector, has no doubt proven very, very useful. Equally so, infrastructure continues to play a lead role in our economic development program. We are investing in infrastructure relating to road network to enhance connectivity, expand our energy access. In 2018, when this government took over, energy access in this country was at 16%. Today, we are far above 34%, and in the next couple of months, going to grow beyond 40% access. These are some of the investments we are making to support the growth of the economy. Honorable ministers and governors, let me conclude by reiterating Sierra Leone's unwavering commitment to the West African Monetary Zone Single Currency Project, and by extension to the ECOWAS Single Currency Program. Distinguished guests, on behalf of His Excellency the President, I wish to assure you that our government remains fully committed to the implementation of the ECOWAS protocols on the free movement of people and goods, which no doubt is fundamental to a regional monetary zone. I must say that the corridors of trade within the countries trying to promote inter and intra-trade relationship largely remains problematic. We are also committed to implementing the trade and communication protocols under the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme, we have listed 28 registered companies with around 54 products authorized under the scheme. The National Revenue Authority is also modernizing customs infrastructure and improving efficiency in classification and trade data collection within the ASICODA world system. Modest progress is also being made to implement the ECOWAS biometric ID cards, consistent with the ECOWAS Free Movement Protocol. We are making efforts to participate in the ECOWAS free roaming initiatives. As we move closer to the 2027 deadline for the establishment of the ECOWAS Monetary Union, I want to take this opportunity to assure you all of the government of Sierra Leone's dedication to supporting the high-level committee mandated to propose practical arrangement for the launch of the ECO. We look forward to the recommendations of this committee. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I believe side by side with our effort to pursue monetary union, we should continue to take concrete steps towards greater integration. History has shown us that effective and viable monetary union is the end state of regional integration. In that light, we should work very hard towards removing the bottlenecks to trade corridors, improve connectivity. It is high time that West African countries begin to think about shared infrastructure, that we can buy electricity from across West African countries. Today, Sierra Leone is getting electricity supply from the 1,300 kilometer Transco line. We are buying electricity from Côte d'Ivoire Energy. We are in the process of buying electricity from Guinea as well. And that in itself demonstrates the importance of shared infrastructure. And make no mistake, it is only when we invest in shared infrastructure to promote road networks. Today, most of you will agree with me that the cost of your flight ticket to Freetown is even slightly higher than the cost of a flying to Istanbul or Paris. We have to do something. When you have ministers of finance and governors of central bank, these are the kind of shared investment we are talking about that will promote regional integration and improve connectivity. Make no mistake that the single currency that you see today, which is the euro, comes as a result of a long-standing effort to regional economic integration. Yesterday, I was making reference when I was a student in France and I went to a supermarket, and then I saw a gentleman packing mangoes. I asked him, where are these mangoes from? He told me they are from Slovenia. They look like mangoes from Sierra Leone as well. And you can imagine mangoes from Slovenia that finds all their way to supermarket in Paris without no roadblocks and no checkpoints, tell you the problematic nature of trade corridors in West Africa. And we have to make efforts. We are the policy makers. We have to take the right policies. We have to demonstrate the political will to unblock some of these challenges. Nobody will have told you a couple of years ago that a country like Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Liberia can buy electricity from Côte d'Ivoire. Today, it is possible. As I'm talking to you now, Côte d'Ivoire alone as a country has got 4 fiber cables. Sierra Leone and Guinea and Liberia have got 1 each. And they are expiring in the next couple of months. So when you build and invest in this shared infrastructure, we will not be scared to get data supply from countries like Côte d'Ivoire who are already high up there. Sea transportation is still a challenge. Today, if we produce palm oil here and you want to send that palm oil to Lagos, it has to go as far as to the Tangier port if you are lucky. If you are not lucky, to the Scandinavian country before it gets to Lagos. That in itself are some of the challenges we are facing here. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, another important ingredient that our sister from ECOWAS made mention of that I would like to throw light is the stability challenges in the region. Stability is vital to reintegration. And stability has got critical elements, one of which is effective political governance. Effective state governance is critical to political stability. Reform of public sector so that we can have public administrations that has the tendency to deliver services transparently and in an accountable manner is also critical to political stability. Microeconomic stability is also important to support political governance to thrive. Equally so, we are very pleased with the work of ECOWAS over the years, particularly their work relating to political governance. Shared political values is a key element of integration. The European countries you see today that are using the euro, they have got shared values, and it is that shared values that allow them to integrate their economy and more so to talk about a single currency. These are very critical elements to strengthen regional integrations. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we know that we are far ahead of our sister regions when it comes to integration. Today, if you go to the East and Southern African countries, when we tell them what we have achieved in terms of regional economic integration, the free movement of trade and people and goods, believe you me, they are amazed. It means we have come a long way. We have done a fantastic job, but we still have opportunity to build on those gains, And I am very optimistic. As a student of the sub-region, I went to school in Sierra Leone, Ghana, and Nigeria. So I've seen this sub-region and had the opportunity to work for the United Nations office in West Africa and the Sahel. I've had opportunity to travel across this region and part of the Sahel in vehicle transport. I can tell you today, the kilometers to move from Bamako to Dakar, which is about 1,300 kilometers. And now I move from Bamako to Conakry and to Freetown by road. I know the potential. With the political will, we can unlock the opportunities to deepen free trade, free movement of people. We need to expand the trade corridor. And I'm optimistic that we can build on the gains we have made. And believe you me, a stronger and stable region is vital to drive the social and economic development. On that note, on that positive note, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to formally open the 53rd Convergent Councils of the Ministers of Finance and Governance of the West African Monetary Zone. I thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Honorable Vice President, for that insightful, informative, and comprehensive statement. We are also very pleased about the assurance of the political will and commitment towards monetary integration. That's my key takeaway. And before closing, let me just share with you a brief story. When we were at Frabe College, I don't know how many of you are fortunate to attend Frabe College, University of Sierra Leone, the first university in Africa. I don't know how many of you know that. We had a professor of law. He was also a doctor of law. He was both a professor and a doctor. So as students on campus, when we come across him, we struggle. We don't know what to say, whether to call him professor or to call him doctor. And then we say, gentlemen, don't worry. Just call me doctor. See, because there are professors on campus who do not hold a PhD. So just call me doctor. But sometimes he will also tell you that, look, just call me professor and not doctor. Because there are doctors on this campus who are not professors. So when our vice president speaks, I find it difficult whether I should call him doctor or professor. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. So on that note, I think we'll bring this opening ceremony to a close. I just want to advise you that there's a photo session outside with our Honorable Vice President. All delegates on the high table join the Honorable Vice President and representatives of member countries of the WAMs and the Director Generals of WAMI, WAMA, and WIFM. Thank you very much.
Sure. 1, 2, mic check.